Hi guys, and welcome back to Reads Readers with your host, Clinton Reed. And again, I'm bringing you another cozy type of video because I don't care to get dressed right now. I work from home. Why would I care how I look? But I've got 3 big stacks here of an unhaul video for you guys. We have 1, 2, we have 38 books to unhaul. Some are on here because we DNF'd them. We have 3 on here that I know for a fact are just going to Mel. There are some on here that we've read before and we're like, we're not going to keep. And some we've just 100% lost interest. So we're just going to go based off of there's no rhyme or reason, and I'll just let you know. The first 3 are because they are just going to Mel. One is her arc of Death Prefers Blondes. We have a finished copy, and I know this is one of Mel's all-time favorite books. So I am sending it back to her so that she can have the arc, and maybe the day she gets to meet Caleb, she can get it signed. And she also saw in our little unhaul that we were unhauling A Night In with Audrey Hepburn and A Night In with Marilyn Monroe by Lucy Holiday. I'm still sort of interested in this series, but I have a hard time right now with Audrey Hepburn and Marilyn Monroe, only because I am no longer friends with my best friend, who we called each other. He was the Audrey Hepburn to my Marilyn Monroe, so I still have that kind of issue. And we used to joke that our drag sister, or my drag sister and his drag daughter, was kind of Grace Kelly, who is kind of the 3rd one in this. So I kind of have issues with that, so I don't see me reading it. So these 3 aren't actually like unhauls because of bad, they're just going to Mel. So I'm going to set those behind me. Okay. Now, I know there's 3 DNFs in here, but the way he has them stacked is just for the comfort. I will mention The 10th Girl by Sarah Faring, as y'all heard in my wrap-up video. I absolutely hated this and think it's garbage, and she pissed me off, so I quickly DNF'd it. I'm going to go with that. I also read Crenshaw back in... This was kindly gifted to me by Melanie, but she also knows that when I read it, I only gave... I can't remember if I gave it a 2.5 or a 3-star. So, it was cute. It's just a lot younger than I thought it would be for me. And I'm still a huge K.A. Applegate fan. Catherine Applegate. So, this is just gonna go bye-bye. Sterling is unhauling his copy of Lion in the Valley by Elizabeth Peters because he got a hardback copy of this. So, we don't need the mass market. Similarly with unhauling, because they were just a little too young for us, Sterling attempted and stated, even to me, that I wouldn't enjoy them because they read really young. And that is the first 3 books in the Disney Chills series, which is Part of Your Nightmare, which is an Ursula retelling. Book 2, which is Friends on the Other Side, which is a Dr. Facilier. And then Second Star to the Fright, which is Captain Hook. These are supposed to be kind of Goosebumpsy, Disney inspired by Vera Strange, and they just didn't work because they were a little young. Another DNF, which I forgot I DNF'd this, was Ready Player One. This was my fourth or fifth time trying to read it, and it's not for me. I will watch the movie because that's my friend Chantel's favorite movie, so I will watch the movie, but the book is just not for me. Sterling is unhauling Witches Steeped in Gold by Sanan Smart. He recently read this and just didn't really like it. And the way he talked about it, he knows that it's not something I would enjoy. I do believe this might be the Owl Crate. No, he pre-ordered this and got the signed book plate for it. It wasn't for him. And it's not one that I was interested in. I know it's about witches, but that was like all I was interested in. But the way he talks about like the writing style, he knows it's not really going to be my jam, so. Same with Ring Shout by P. Clark, because I'm not going to pronounce that. He read this and he said it was meh. He said it should have been longer. This is kind of a historical horror novel, and it's not one I was interested in. And he said it was just meh. We are unhauling Half-Blood by Sally Green, because I literally only bought it because witches and gay. But that's not enough for me to want to keep it. It's older YA, as in like it came out in 2013, I think. 2014. And I've noticed a lot of those past series aren't really for me these days. And there's nothing against that. It's just I'm a 31-year-old. Not really for me. And if I'm only keeping it because queer, then do we really need it? I have attempted to read Bliss by Lauren Miracle a couple different times, and because it was gifted by a friend, I had been keeping it. I don't see me reading it, and I know it's mixed media, it's just nothing about this interests me. So bye. The Good Demon, we're just not interested in anymore. Same with Wilder Girls by Any Means Necessary. Both of these were like, we were kind of interested, but not enough to want to keep. And it's blurbed by some people where I've attempted their books and didn't like it. We literally only got this because gay. Same with Saul Kill Girls. It's Claire Legrand. I tried and I DNF'd it. Sterling wants us to get rid of Brave Face. How I Survived Growing Up, Coming Out in Depression by Sean David Hutchinson, because he attempted to read it and he wasn't aware that this was a biography. And he actually wants to read something by Sean David Hutchinson first, and just doesn't see a need for us to keep this because he doesn't know if Sean David Hutchinson is somebody that he's even gonna like. Like, we're very interested in his 2022 release, Howl, because that's like his most like up our alley. But if we like that, we're willing to try more of his writing. And I have heard mixed things on Sean David Hutchinson, so. And we're unhauling What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Severa. We are super interested in book 2, but neither one of us feel like we're ever going to reread book one. And it's one of those that we're like, meh, we like it, love it when you read it, but then it's very forgettable as well. Nothing wrong with the book. I gave it 5 stars. Sterling, I think, gave it 3 or 4 stars. We really enjoyed it, but it's not one that we feel the need to have to keep on our shelves, which is kind of sad because this is the only Becky Albertalli that I am unhauling. I am unhauling 3 books that I've been going back and forth with Sterling on this. But we are unhauling The Hunger Games. I wanted to keep them on the shelves because of nostalgia, because it's Hunger Games. But I realized something. I didn't read these when they came out. There's really no nostalgia to these. I was like, oh, it's so nostalgic. I read these when they came out. No, I didn't. I read the first one when I found out that the movie was coming out. Yeah, this came out in 2008. Wow. If we owned Twilight would be kept over these. And I'm not a big Twilight fan because Twilight would be more nostalgia for me than Hunger Games. It's like dystopian and me aren't a thing anymore. Like, I still have a few on my shelves that I'm interested in, but there's no need. I know everything there is to know about this series. It used to be one of my favorites. It's not anymore. I'm still pissed off at Mockingjay for what they fucking did to Finnick. And to her sister, but that is beside the point. So, they're going away because we're never going to reread them. They're not nostalgia. I don't need to keep them. Again, for books that Sterling has read and has gone meh, they were okay, but not really. Books like The Ghosts We Keep by Mason Deaver, he liked, but he said it's not one that he would want to keep, and I'm not. It's not one that, like, calls to me to want to read. Same with Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. If I end up liking Monday's Not Coming, I will get a paperback copy of this, because I feel like Sterling said this wasn't as good as he was hoping it was, and I'm really interested in Monday's Not Coming. But this is one that we can get rid of for now. We may re-get it in the future. Another one Sterling didn't like was The Beautiful by Renee Audier. And I'm starting to trust some of Sterling's judgment. He has questionable tastes and faves and hates. Like, he really, really hates Addie LaRue. And I really love Addie LaRue. But whatever. But he also did explain to me some of the things he had issues with in this, which is stuff that I would have issues with. So, another DNF of mine, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, because I read the first 4 chapters 8 times and still don't know what the fuck I read. So bye. End of story. Bye. And Sterling is getting rid of Star Wars: The High Republic, The Rising Storm by Kevin Scott, because he doesn't want to own it. And if any of the Star Wars books that we own that get unhauled, that's on him. He's the Star Wars fan. We are getting rid of A Curious Beginning, A Perilous Undertaking, and A Treacherous Curse, all by Veronica. It's all the first 3 books in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series by Deanna Rayburn, because Sterling read them and said they are not ones that he would want to keep, And this was a series that I used to be interested in, but I'm not the biggest fan of historical fiction. So I let Sterling decide, and he's the one that wants them to go away. So, Mel just recently read this. We bought it for like $2 because she said it was queer in a video. And that is The Great American Whatever by Tim Fedrell. She absolutely hated it and told us exactly why she hated it. And that would be why I would hate it. So bye-bye. We don't fat shame in this house. Another one that Sterling read and was like meh on it. He says it reads a little young, and that is The Best at It by Maluk Pencholi. Queer middle grade. He said reads a little too young, and he knows how I have issues with that, so. Sterling has read this book twice now and wasn't a big fan of it. So The Scapegracers by Hannah Abigail Clark is going away. Same can be said for Witches of Ash and Ruin by E. Latimer. We are getting rid of The Guinevere Deception and The Camelot Betrayal by Kirsten White because Sterling wasn't a big fan and he wants, and they're not ones that I'm that interested in. I'm like, it's super pretty underneath. I'm tired of the Merlin story. Like, there's a few on the shelf that I'm more interested in, like Legendborn, that uses the Merlin Arthur story. Just kind of tired of the only Celtic stories that are ever used is the King Arthur trope, and I'm over it. So bye. And I tried to get into it. Wasn't really a big fan, and Sterling wasn't a big fan, and this may be one that I may get eventually in the future, but don't need a gigantic Book of the Month edition of Reverie. I tried to read it once, and I just wasn't in the right headspace. Sterling read it and doesn't understand how it's queer. So that kind of worries me. So that is our unhaul. This is our last unhaul of 2021. Making room for new books, new loves, new faves. Sterling needs to make room for his 5 copies of Empire of the Vampire. We have 1 more coming, so we have 4 currently and have 1 more on the way. Just gotta make room for that. But yeah, that is all I've got today. If I unhauled one of your favorite books, I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. We want to clear up our shelves for things that we're a lot more excited about. There are certain authors we're wanting to buy more of. There's authors that we're wanting to focus more on, like topics and stuff like that with our ever-growing. There's specific things we look for in queer literature nowadays that some of these queer books just don't fall upon anymore. Same with the witch books and all of the stuff. We're slowly defining what we look for in literature. And a lot of these don't fall into that. Also has some of my most hated DNFs this year in it. So, yeah, about that. That's all I've got for you guys. Hit that thumbs up. I would say comment down below and see if I would save one, but it's not gonna happen. These just need to go away. We need to make room. We have a wedding to prepare for. We would rather our books not make us stressed out by seeing, ugh, I hate that book. Bye, 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 bye. And when we get rid of these, we can possibly bring home at least 1 or 2 books that we're more inclined to love. But yeah, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, hit that subscribe. And remember, kids, always be fabulously yourself. Oh, boy. God, I hate this spotlight.